Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. If you've ever been sitting by that phone, waiting on somebody to call or text you back, this one's for you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful right now. Knowing your worth is not about arrogance. It's about awareness. It's about understanding that you are the prize, not the audition. When you truly know your value, you stop negotiating your peace just to keep somebody close. Too many people out here are giving discounts to those who never even paid full price for their time, their love, or their energy. You're out here giving loyalty to folks who don't even give you consistency. You're forgiving the same mistakes over and over, thinking that maybe if you love harder, they'll finally see your worth. But the truth is, people don't value what's always available. They value what they have to earn. When you know your worth, you set the tone for how people handle you. You teach them through your actions what's acceptable and what's not. If you allow someone to disrespect you once, they'll test you again. Every time you excuse it, you teach them that your boundaries are flexible. And baby, let me tell you, your boundaries are your protection, not your punishment. When you respect yourself enough to walk away from what no longer serves you, that's when you elevate. That's when peace enters your life. That's when the right people begin to show up because they can feel that energy of self-respect radiating off you. People treat you according to the lessons you allow them to learn. If you show them that your time is precious, they'll think twice before wasting it. If you show them that your heart is valuable, they'll guard it carefully. But if you keep showing them that they can come and go whenever they please, that your love is always waiting like an open door, they'll never stay because they never had to earn their place. The truth is, people can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. And if you don't value who you are, they won't either. So stop asking for respect. Start demanding it through your standards. Knowing your worth doesn't mean you walk around with a chip on your shoulder. It means you move with quiet confidence. You don't beg for attention because you know what you bring. You don't chase validation because your self-esteem isn't built on somebody else's opinion. When you know your worth, you stop trying to fit into places that don't deserve your presence. You stop arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop explaining your intentions to those who are only around to drain your energy. Instead, you start walking in alignment with your purpose, with your head held high and your peace protected. Ladies and gentlemen, when you finally decide that you're enough, just as you are, everything changes. The world starts treating you differently because your energy says, I'm not settling. And the moment you live in that truth, the moment you embrace that confidence, you'll notice how fast people either step up or step out. Either way, you win because knowing your worth means you'll never again accept less than you deserve. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that can change your whole life. Chasing is a sign that you've forgotten your own power. When you chase, you tell the world that what you want is running away from you. But when you stand still in your confidence, you become the magnet. You attract what's meant for you instead of exhausting yourself chasing what isn't. Too many people are running after someone who was never supposed to stay. You're sending double texts, replaying conversations, wondering what went wrong, trying to figure out what you can do to make them see you. But the truth is, you can't convince someone to see value in something they were never ready to appreciate. You see, When you start chasing, you shift the balance of power. You move from being the chooser to the chosen. You start handing your energy over like a discount. Please pick me. Please see me. Please love me. That desperation energy repels what you want. People can feel it even if you never say a word. Chasing is fear disguised as effort. It's the fear that if you stop running, you'll lose something. But you can't lose what's meant for you. Real love, real opportunity, real connection, those things don't have to be chased. They recognize your spirit, and they move toward you naturally when you stand still in your truth. The reason some people never attract what they deserve is because they keep chasing what they can't sustain. They're trying to force relationships, friendships, or opportunities that are misaligned. When you know your value, you stop chasing people and start attracting peace. You stop explaining yourself to those who don't listen. You stop overgiving to those who don't reciprocate. You start walking like you know something. Because you do. You know that you bring something to the table that can't be duplicated. And when you live from that truth, you start to glow differently. People notice when your energy shifts. They notice when you start begging for attention and start minding your business. Suddenly, they're curious. They start wondering why you're not reaching out, why you're not available, why you seem so unbothered. That's the power of attraction. You didn't chase them, you simply became unavailable for anything that doesn't align with your peace. That's when your phone starts ringing. That's when texts start coming through. Because now they feel the loss of your energy. That energy you used to give away freely. Attracting doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the inner work that makes chasing unnecessary. It means healing the part of you that thought love had to be earned through effort and proving yourself. It means learning patience, trusting that what's meant for you will find its way without you having to lose your dignity in the process. The universe rewards stillness that's grounded in confidence. When you know your worth, you don't chase anything. You simply prepare for what's already making its way toward you. So stand firm in your value. Let your calm speak louder than your pursuit. Because when you stop chasing what's running away from you, that's when the right things, the ones meant to stay, finally start chasing you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real. A man doesn't fall in love because a woman is always there. He falls in love because she stands for something. A man might like easy access, but he respects standards. See, being available for everything doesn't make you desirable. It makes you convenient. And there's a big difference between being wanted and being needed. When a woman is too available, when she picks up every call, answers every text within seconds, rearranges her plans just to see him, she's teaching him that her world revolves around him. But when a man realizes that you'll always be there, he stops showing up with effort. Because in his mind, he already won a game he never had to play. Men are wired to pursue. It's in their nature to work for what they value. The moment you make it too easy, the pursuit ends. A man doesn't respect what he can get with no challenge. He respects what requires discipline, consistency, and growth. Think about it. Anything worth having in life takes effort. A job, success, fitness, peace. It all takes commitment. Love is no different. If you want a man to show up for you the right way, stop showing up for him the wrong way. Stop proving yourself to people who haven't even earned the right to access you. You have to understand that your standards are not walls. They're filters. They separate the temporary from the true. A man who's serious about you will rise to meet your standards. He'll adjust. He'll put in the effort. He'll learn how to communicate, how to show up, how to stay consistent. The wrong man, the lazy one, the selfish one, he'll call you too much, too picky, or too high maintenance. But that's because your standards expose his lack of maturity. Don't lower your standards just to keep someone who's not willing to rise. Because the moment you compromise your boundaries to keep a man, you lose his respect and your peace at the same time. See, standards don't chase men away, they attract the right ones. A man who's ready for love, who's not for commitment, doesn't fear your expectations. He appreciates them. He knows that your standards come from self-worth, not ego. And when a man sees that you value yourself, he knows he has to bring his best if he wants a place in your life. He starts to step differently, talk differently, move differently, because now he's dealing with a woman who can't be impressed by empty promises or small talk. She's seen enough to know that consistency is louder than chemistry. Ladies, stop thinking that being available all the time will make a man love you more. Love doesn't grow from constant access, it grows from consistent respect. You don't need to answer every call right away. You don't have to cancel your plans every time he wants to see you. Let him know your time is valuable. Let him see that your life is full even without him. That's what builds attraction, the mystery, the independence, the sense that you've got purpose beyond a relationship. When a man knows he takes you for granted, that's when he starts cherishing you. When he knows that if he doesn't step up, he'll lose you, that's when he moves with intention. Your standards don't scare away real men. They filter out the wrong ones. So don't apologize for expecting effort, consistency, or respect. Because a man who truly wants you will never see your standards as obstacles. He'll see them as the roadmap to your heart. And when he earns his way in, he'll stay, not because you were always available, but because you made him work for something worth keeping. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to hear this loud and clear. Confidence will take you places that beauty never could. Beauty can turn heads, but confidence stops hearts. Beauty might get attention for a moment, but confidence holds it for a lifetime. The truth is, physical beauty fades, but self-belief, self-assurance, and the power to walk in your own skin with pride, that's timeless. People may forget what you looked like, but they'll never forget how you carried yourself. Confidence is the glow that doesn't wash off, the quiet fire that makes others take notice without you saying a word. It's not about how perfect you look. This world has not how certain you are that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy. Confidence is magnetic because it tells the world that you are enough. You don't need approval, you don't need validation, and you're not trying to be anyone else. You stand tall, flaws and all, knowing that your value doesn't shrink because someone else can't see it. That's power. That's the kind of strength that commands respect, not just attention. When a confident woman walks into a room, you can feel her presence before she even speaks. She's not competing, she's not comparing, she's not performing, she's just being. And that being is what draws people in. Confidence says, I know who I am, I know what I bring, and I'm not afraid to stand alone until someone deserves my company. You see, beauty can be borrowed. It can come from makeup, clothes, filters, or angles. But confidence comes from the inside. It's built in the dark when nobody is cheering for you. It's developed In those moments when life knocks you down and you decide to get back up again. Confidence grows when you stop seeking love from others and start giving it to yourself. Because when you know your worth, you stop auditioning for roles you were born to own. You stop apologizing for being too much or too different. You realize that your individuality is your advantage. There's no competition when you're being authentically you. A confident woman doesn't need to chase anyone. People naturally gravitate toward her energy. That's because confidence speaks a language that beauty can't. It says, I'm not desperate, I'm not settling, and I don't need to be chosen to feel valuable. Confidence attracts the kind of love that doesn't ask you to shrink. It attracts opportunities that align with your growth. It creates an aura of strength that can't be ignored. And let me tell you, a man may admire beauty, but he falls in love with confidence. He falls in love with that woman who knows her value and carries herself like she belongs wherever she goes. Confidence is freedom. It's freedom from people's opinions, from society's expectations, from comparison and insecurity. When you're confident, you stop asking, am I good enough? And start saying, I'm more than enough. You stop settling for crumbs because you know you deserve the feast. You stop trying to fix what's not broken, and instead, you start celebrating what's real. That's when life begins to shift. That's when people treat you differently, because you've taught them how. They risk world as to the energy you project. If you walk like you're unsure, they'll question your worth. But if you walk like you own the ground you're standing on, they'll move with respect. Confidence doesn't come from being the most beautiful in the room. It comes from knowing that beauty is just one part of who you are. It's the grace in your walk, the calm in your voice, the strength in your silence. It's knowing that even on your worst day, you still carry light. Confidence is not loud, but it's undeniable. It doesn't need attention. It creates its own spotlight. And when you start living from that space, when you truly embody confidence, you become unstoppable. Not because you're the most beautiful, but because you finally believe that you are enough, just as you are. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that most people never understand until life teaches them the hard way. Silence is one of the most powerful voices you will ever have. You don't always need to respond. You don't always need to explain. And you sure don't need to beg for attention from anyone who's already showing you they don't value it. There comes a time when your peace is worth more than your point. Sometimes the most mature, confident, and graceful thing you can do is simply stay silent and let your absence speak for you. People notice silence more than noise because silence has weight. When you pull your energy back, people start to feel what words could never make them understand. See, begging for attention is like telling the world you don't believe in your own worth. It's like saying, I need you to see me so I can feel valuable. But when you know who you are, you don't chase acknowledgement. You let your energy speak for itself. You don't have to raise your voice when your presence already carries power. The person who keeps talking, keeps explaining, keeps defending themselves, usually wasting energy trying to convince someone who has already made up their mind. But silence forces people to sit with their own thoughts, their own guilt, their own realization of what they lost. Silence makes them replay everything you used to say, every time you used to show up, and every way they took you for granted. Silence, not weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing that time will reveal what words never could. It's understanding that you don't have to control the narrative because truth always surfaces on its own. You don't need to argue with somebody to prove your worth. You don't need to put things online to show you've moved on. You don't need to scream your pain just to get somebody's attention. When you fall quiet, you take back control. You shift the power dynamic. Suddenly, the one who thought they had the upper hand starts wondering what changed. They start questioning themselves. Why isn't she calling? Why isn't she texting? Why isn't she reacting? That's when the tables turn. The beauty of silence, that it teaches people the difference between your presence and your absence. When you stop begging for attention, those who were blind to your value start to see it clearly. It's like a mirror. When you walk away quietly, they're forced to face themselves. And sometimes that's the only way they learn. Words can be ignored, but silence lingers. It echoes in the mind. It creates curiosity, confusion, and eventually realization. You can tell someone 1,000 times what they're doing wrong, but one quiet withdrawal will teach them more than all your explanations combined. Silence also brings peace. Peace of mind, peace of heart, peace of spirit. When you stop fighting for people's attention, you create room for self-love, reflection, and healing. You stop performing for an audience that doesn't deserve the show. You learn to sit with yourself and rediscover your power. Because truth be told, not everyone deserves access to your words. Some people only listen to reply, not to understand. Others only want your attention to feed their ego. But when you choose silence, you take that power back. You no longer give people the satisfaction of knowing they can trigger you. And let me tell you something, silence gets respect. When you stop talking, people stop listening. When you stop explaining, they start wondering. When you stop showing up for everyone who never shows up for you, that's when your value rises. Because silence is not the absence of communication, it's the presence of control. It's saying, I don't have to say a word to show my strength. And the moment you embrace that, you elevate. So stop begging anyone to notice you. Stop repeating yourself to those who don't care. Stop forcing connections that drain your energy. Just be still. Move in silence. Let your peace make the noise. Because one thing about silence, it doesn't just speak, it screams. It says, I'm done explaining, I'm done waiting, and I'm finally putting myself first. And when you do that, the same people who ignored your words will come running, not because you begged, but because your silence told them everything they needed to know. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something true and powerful. The moment you stop lowering yourself for the wrong person is the moment the right one finds their way to you. Too many people are missing out on real love, real happiness, and real peace because they keep stepping down just to make someone else comfortable. You bend your standards, you shrink your dream and silence your voice, and you call it love. But that's not love. That's self-abandonment. Every time you lower yourself for someone who refuses to rise, you delay the person who's meant to meet you where you are. The right one can't reach you when you keep living beneath your value. You see, relationships don't fall apart because love disappears. They fall apart because balance disappears. One person keeps giving, forgiving, fixing, and proving while the other keeps taking, slacking, and assuming. Love is supposed to feel like a project. You're not supposed to teach someone how to treat you. They should already be willing to learn because they value you. The right one won't need reminders. They'll take initiative. They'll show up. They'll communicate. And they'll make you feel safe instead of uncertain. But none of that can happen until you stop stepping down into places you've outgrown just to feel needed. Sometimes we confuse attachment with love has not yet met her. If we compromise more, if we become smaller, maybe they'll finally see our worth. What you don't realize is that every time you lower your standards, you teach them that they don't have to grow. You become the safety net for someone who refuses to climb. You keep giving them chances while they keep giving you excuses. That's not growth. That's stagnation dressed up as loyalty. When you step down to meet someone who refuses to elevate, you both stay stuck. You can't rise while you're busy trying to carry someone who doesn't want to move. The right one, though, is different. The right one doesn't make you chase. They match your pace. The right one doesn't drain you. They pour into you. The right one doesn't make you question your worth. They remind you of it every day. But before you can meet them, you have to make space. You can't keep entertaining people who show up halfway and expect someone whole to find you. The universe can't deliver the right one when your heart is still occupied by the wrong one. That's why letting go is important. It's not rejection. Rejection. It's redirection. Every no from someone who couldn't love you right is just making room for the person who will. And when the right one comes along, they won't be intimidated by your strength. They won't ask you to tone down your light. They'll see your fire and want to stand beside it, not dim it. They'll admire your independence, your confidence, your standards, because they'll be built to handle it. They'll meet you at your level, not ask you to come down to theirs. You won't have to beg for effort because they'll give it freely. You won't have to question their intentions because they'll make them clear. That's what it feels like when someone truly values you. Peace, not confusion. So if you're tired of getting the bare minimum, stop accepting it. Stop thinking you have to prove your worth to anyone who doesn't recognize it on their own. You don't have to water yourself down to be loved. You don't have to walk on eggshells to keep someone's attention. The right one will step up the moment you step back from trying to fix, chase, or convince. Because when you stop stepping down, you send a message. If you want me, you have to rise to meet me. And the right person, the one meant for you, will not only rise, they'll climb with joy. See, love isn't about lowering yourself to fit into someone's comfort zone. It's about both of you growing together. The right one will inspire you to be better, not smaller. They'll see the parts of you others ignored and handle them with care. They'll respect your boundaries, honor your time, and match your energy. And when that happens, you'll finally understand why none of the others worked out. Because they couldn't meet you where you were going. So stop stepping down. Stop meeting people at levels they refuse to leave. Stop accepting crumbs when you deserve the feast. Stand tall, walk in your worth, and trust that the right one will recognize it, not because you begged them to, but because they'll be the kind of person who was looking for exactly what you are. When you stop shrinking for the wrong one, you make space for the right one to step up. And when they do, you'll realize that love was never about lowering yourself. It was always about waiting for someone who knew how to rise